I'm MarzGurl.
And I'm JoshKnightTheFirst.
And welcome to episode 27 of MokkoriPlay, the only podcast dedicated solely to all things City Hunter.
On today's podcast, we're going to cover episode 27 of City Hunter, titled The Legend of Umibozu, Pure-Hearted Mysterious Benefactor, Part 1.
It's a two-parter, Josh.
Yeah, and it's your favorite. It's Umibozu.
Yeah, his name's in the title.
But you're happy he's here.
I am happy he's here. And because it's a two-parter, it means I'm going to be happy he's here twice in a row.
Yes, he's got a very large chunk of the story this week.
Large because, he's Umibozu. He's a very big guy.
He's a big guy, that's for sure. He's a big guy with kind of a soft heart.
Yeah, there's some girl that he thinks of as his daughter that we're going to learn about today.
Starting this week on City Hunter, we have a brand new opening, which is Go Go Heaven by Yoshiyuki Osawa.
I mean, we were talking about this last week. It showed up in the middle of the episode there in that hamburger joint. It's just playing in the background. And they tend to do that a lot with this particular song throughout this season. And even we said into the next season too, right?
Right.
Yeah, so not only is it playing as kind of an insert song, but yeah, it's the new opening. So goodbye, Love Don't Leave Me. That is no longer the opening.
Yeah, no more Io Kianaide. Now we have Go Go Heaven, and now we have new opening animation to go along with it.
One thing I don't really like about this particular opening, and it's true of a lot of anime too, is they'll insert sound effects into the opening. So like there's a shot of Rio unloading his gun and all the shells hit the floor.
With the clinking of the shells.
And then the clinking of the shells, and then there's gunfire, and you can hear all of it, so you don't actually get a clean listening experience to this opening theme.
I felt the same way in the 90s with the old Spider-Man cartoon, where when the show first started, they just played the theme, Spider-Man, Spider-Man. And then by the time they got to season 3, they threw in all of these sound effects.
Right.
So you'd hear, Spider-Man, but there's this all this crap going on in the background. It's like, no, I want to hear that sick guitar solo. You're distracting me here.
Yeah, I wish they hadn't done that. But other than that, I mean, the animation's good.
I think it does a better job of depicting what the show is compared to the first opening. Like, it definitely makes it look more action-oriented.
I agree with that. I just miss that old opening, and I miss how peppy that old opening is, and the rainbows. It's very bright and colorful and city pop.
Yes.
The previous opening is very city pop, and this one is very Miami Vice.
Well, I don't know about Miami Vice entirely. I think the look can be Miami Vice. I think the closest thing I can compare it to is a much, much more watered down Wake Me Up Before You Go.
Go
Heaven.
That's what this opening is
yeah,
Go,
if
Go
you
Heaven.
hella water it down, distill it, and translate it into Japanese, that's how you get this opening. What's great about this opening is the running gag that we have, at least between the two of us, is like we were saying about the sound effects at the very end of the song, after it's repeating, these I just want to go, go, go. Just repeating that over and over again. The song ends with a gunshot.
Pew!
And
one of us is always just like, ow!
Yeah, we got hit, man. Watch out for the gunfire.
Every time, too. It hits every time.
Every time. It never fails. It's one of us. Very rarely is both of us, but always one of us will inevitably, after the gunshot goes up, ow! Every time, without fail.
Yeah.
But now that we've covered that, let's go ahead and get into our episode. So we start off the week with Kaori checking out the board there in Shinjuku Station, and we see that somebody has taken up the entire board.
Yeah, nothing subtle about it. Giant X, Y, Z across the whole board. Mind you, the board is not just for City Hunter. The board is for general public use.
Yeah, like, hey, have you seen my lost dog? Or I'm trying to rent an apartment, like regular bulletin board stuff. Mm-hmm. But there's no room for that this week. Just somebody just over everything. I need to get City Hunter's attention.
Like, it looks like he didn't write it with the tip of the chalk. He turned the chalk sideways and drew it, like, down lengthwise. Yeah, lengthwise down the piece of chalk. X, Y, Z.
Now, as Kaori is checking this out, she figures, this has got to be some kind of joke, right? Somebody's pulling my leg. And then from behind her, she hears this giant booming voice, "Do you work for Saiba?" And, of course, that belongs to Umibozu, who is actually the person who's trying to hire City Hunter this week.
This is like, what, our third time seeing Umibozu now?
Second, I believe.
No, because we saw him for sure the one time, and then there was another time where he got called. It was extremely early on in the series. series.
Oh, no, you're right. So this makes third.
Yeah,
you're right.
They were trying to call Umibozu to do a hit, and he, like, wasn't wearing his glasses, and it was weird, and he was only there for, like, a second.
No, you're right. Then this is the third time. You're correct. So Umibozu convinces Kaori to take him all the way back to Ryo's apartment, where Ryo gives the audience another plot dump of, hey, this is who he is. He's not really my friend, but we're people who work in the same line of work. You know, he's an excellent sniper, pretty big guy. We're kind of at odds a lot of the time. Everybody good on that? All right, good. Let's move on with the story.
I guess Umibozu just realizes, well, there's nobody else I can trust with the particular job I need to get done, so guess it's gotta be this asshole.
That's very much the sentiment that he's carrying over. And he's got business to talk, and we're gonna do that over drinks. And by drinks, we mean Wild Hawk, not Wild Turkey, Wild Hawk, which I imagine is not as official as Wild Turkey, but twice as strong.
I was about to say, it'll get you drunk.
Oh, that'll get you messed up.
Although we did not actually see Umibozu get drunk, so I'm going to assume he holds his liquor very well, especially after he has downed the whole bottle. There was maybe enough left for Ryo to have one glass.
One tiny glass, and
Umibozu chugs this whole bottle like, oh my god, he's having a day? What is wrong with this man? He's just decided, I'm in so much trouble, I really need this alcohol. And what did it even matter? He can't even get drunk, it seems. So
not like Captain America can't get drunk. We figure it takes a lot of alcohol to get Umibozu inebriated. He's a big guy. Pro wrestler is what we're saying to you.
Yeah.
And Ryo picks up on this. He's asking, all right, Umibozu, there's got to be a lot going on for you to come to me, because you know how we feel about each other. What's the deal? And Umibozu tells him, well, I need you to take a job. Can't tell you what it is. And Ryo's like, I'm not going to take a job I don't know about. You need to spill your guts. What the hell do you want me to do? And he asks him, I need you to date a woman for one day. And Ryo's like, huh? I'm gonna need more details than that. Can you explain?
Yeah, like, shockingly, he's not immediately like, yes, please. And instead is like, well, I'm not gonna do it unless you tell me more about it, man.
Well, because for all Ryo knows, it could be a setup.
Right, that's true.
Because as we'll see multiple times throughout the series, there are several instances where Umibozu and Ryo come to odds with each other and try to kill each other.
Yeah, that even continues to happen after this.
Yes.
So, like, both before and after this series of events, even when it seems like, hey, maybe they're actually friends, Umibozu is completely okay with taking jobs where they might end up as enemies.
Yeah, it is not a problem to him. But as asked, Umibozu decides to go ahead and spill the beans about what's going on this week. So Umibozu is our client, but what he needs from City Hunter is for Ryo to keep tabs on a Maki Himuro. She is a young woman who has for years been given not really a stipend, but she's been given money by a mysterious benefactor since she was a little kid when her dad unfortunately died. And for years and years and years, this mysterious benefactor, who only refers to himself as Falcon, has been communicating with her, I guess through like letters and things like that, to let her know, hey, I'm here for you, here's some money to support you, and you're trying to get into the arts. And she's become a very notable violin player. Even Kaori knows who she is.
Yeah, so Kaori's even the one who relays this entire story to Ryo, like, oh, you don't know who this person is? Yeah, she plays the violin. She's been getting all this money from somebody that she doesn't even know. Oh man, I would love to know who this Falcon person is. And immediately Umibozu's like, yeah, that's me. I'm Falcon.
And everybody's like, what?
I just, like, somewhere around this point in the episode, too, the camera has panned out while this conversation is happening, and I just loved this little detail that otherwise isn't pointed out, where Umibozu's sitting on a bench at this table, and the bench is just bowed in, like, almost touching the ground, because he's just so heavy, he's nearly breaking the bench he's sitting on.
Like, if you had to put a number on it, I'd say he's weighing like 250 at least.
At least. Just muscle. It's
all
muscle. I'd say he could go up to 280, because they've just depicted him as being the biggest dude. Just the biggest dude.
All this beef inside of Umibozu. And can we stop for a second to talk about the fact that at their dining table, they don't actually have a dining set. It's outdoor picnic furniture.
Well, that's why I'm like, it's a bench? You sit at a bench at this table in your apartment. Okay, that's strange.
Like, this is Ryo's idea of interior decorating, is he has a picnic set as his dining set.
I guess Kaori's okay with it, or she's just decided, oh, this is just a man's interior decorating skills. I guess we just have to go with it.
Like, bro, invest in some chairs, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So Umibozu provides a little bit more context, saying that Maki's father was actually a mercenary and was his commanding officer back in his hella mercenary days. He owes him a life debt for things that were going on in the past. There was somebody who they both had to fight off, and they two were the only survivors. So him taking care of Maki is his way of paying back Maki's father.
Well, now Maki wants to know who Falcon is, and Umibozu's just like, I told her no. And Ryo's like, was that a good idea? You probably made her really sad. Okay, well, are you gonna go on this date with her? Because she really wants to meet me and I really don't want her to see me.
And so he's like, so you want me to pretend to be you? And Umibozu's like, yes, I want you to do that, but I got my eye on you, boy. You better be careful out there. And Ryo's like, all right, fine. Let me take a look at this. Oh, she's a babe. Yes, I will do this. Not a problem.
Well, now that I know all the details, yes, I absolutely will.
Now, the next day when this date is set for them to meet, as we're on the way there in the Mini Cooper, they're going over the fact that Umibozu, a little bit of character background for him, does not have a way of talking to women.
No, he's just talking about her. He's blushing.
Like, not just red in the cheeks, like the whole head.
Yeah, his entire neck and face and head, his balding head, all bright red. And really, I think as we're watching this episode, we're finding that it's not necessarily a romantic love, but rather that he thinks of her like she was real young, she was a kid. He's not interested in her romantically. It's more like, just like this was his friend's daughter, now he kind of sees her like a daughter-ish figure. So that's the kind of care he has for her, but even then, he's just got no idea how to communicate with a female human person.
And that, of course, carries on into way bigger arcs in the show about Umibozu getting into any sort of relationship, is that he just can't talk to women, period.
Yeah.
Unless he thinks of you on a purely professional level, then maybe he can talk to you. But if he sees you as any sort of feminine, he can't do it, he shuts down.
He's nervous. He's a nervous dude. Shockingly nervous.
Yeah, you know, he's got a lot of anxiety, surprisingly, for a guy who does such a dangerous job.
Yeah, just more like he's scared of normal everyday things, which we're gonna see a lot of in the next episode as it carries on.
So as they're there in the park, Kaori and Umibozu are posted up, ready to see what goes down. Maki shows up there. She sees Ryo on the bench waiting for her, and Ryo identifies himself as Falcon, and immediately Maki goes up and embraces him, just kind of already bawling, like, oh my god, I finally get to meet you. You mean so much to me. You've touched my life so much.
Ryo's just about to take advantage of this, but he hears Umibozu pulling his gun out on him from like hundreds of feet away behind a tree or whatever. It was a tree, right?
Well, yeah, he's there in the park, like, with a good eye line to where Ryo is with Maki, and every time, this happens multiple times throughout the episode, as soon as Ryo thinks he's about to slip, or looks like he's about to slip, because he gets that bean-faced smile, you hear the and then Ryo's super hearing kicks in. He's like, ooh, I need to not do that. I'd like to not get shot today. So after the initial meeting, they head off to a coffee shop where Maki's kind of grilling Ryo, like, so you're Falcon, right? Your voice sounded different on the phone when we talked about this.
Oh yeah, when I get all nervous and stuff, my voice does that.
Yes.
Yes.
That's totally normal for me.
And she just kind of buys it, or she's just like, well, whatever, I guess, and they move on.
And as they're talking, Ryo's, carrying on the conversation and cannot help but notice she's got a very nice boob window going on there. And as he's admiring it, Umibozu's had enough and takes a shot. Not an alcohol shot. He shoots at him from across the street.
Yeah, even Kaori's like, oh, what the hell, man? Why did you actually fire at him? And yeah, the bullet goes straight through the window and hits a teacup.
Yes.
In this restaurant?
In this coffee shop, yeah, completely shattering it.
Oh, it was called Coffee Map. I remember. I was just like, what a silly name for a restaurant. Coffee Map.
It's no Starbucks. We know that much. But at this point, I think I would prefer Coffee Map over Starbucks.
Oh, that's true. In the world we live in today. Yes.
Now, getting shot at, that's no big deal for Ryo. He gets shot at all the time in his line of work. The thing is, it really freaks out Maki because she starts kind of PTSDing, like, oh my god, this happened to me yesterday. And Ryo has to inquire about this, like, what are you talking about? She's like, yesterday at my apartment, I was drinking something and another bullet came through my window and they got a real creepy call saying, talking about me meeting you today, and it really freaked me out.
From a totally different person saying, oh, you're gonna meet Falcon today, right? Wait, who is this? Doesn't matter. What was it specifically they wanted? Like,
they didn't say what they wanted. They were just being like, oh, that's gonna be a thing. Click. Like,
yeah,
real
what the hell?
mysterious. Like, you didn't even make any demands. You're just trying to freak this poor girl out.
Right.
So now that Ryo sees there's actually something to be keeping an eye on her for, he takes her back to his apartment, tells her, look, just shower up, rest here for the night. We're going to keep an eye on you. He asks Umibozu, okay, so what's going on here? Did you know something like this was going down? Is that why I'm here?
He's like, maybe. And then he leaves.
Well, no, he's like, well, there's one dude it could have been. I thought I killed him. I'm gonna go check to make sure I did that. And then he takes off.
Well, he actually really thinks he's killed this person, though, because he's like, it can't be him. He's dead. But I'm gonna go.
He's like, hey, look, man, he's either dead or he's not. Like, which one is it? You should know. You're a professional.
Well, I don't. Bye.
What the Okay, well, he's gone. That means I can go check on Maki in the shower. This is gonna be great. And Ryo goes and does his Mokkori thing, tries to get his Mokkori on, and he finds out the hard way that before he left, Umibozu has booby-trapped his whole apartment.
Right, so it starts by finding out the hard way that the doorknob to the bathroom is electrified, and so there's a cartoony kind of a moment, a skeleton inside the body being seen, you know, all that good cartoony stuff.
And Maki comes out of the bathroom like, what's wrong with him? And Kaori's like, nothing, he's fine.
Oh, he's always like this. Always like this? Like, what does that mean? Fried on the floor? He's always fried on the floor?
The wiring's bad in this apartment. Go ahead and go to sleep. And Ryo is sequestered off into his room away from where Maki is sleeping. And Kaori warns him, look, just so you know, when I close the door here in a second, that's going to activate all the traps in the hallway. So just so you know, you can't get through the hallway. Bye.
Which, mind you, just makes Ryo want to get out there even worse. So he first starts by trying to climb out the window, which Umibozu's like left a sign on the window that's like, just go to sleep. And it's even got Umibozu's bald head drawn onto the sign that he's got taped to the window.
I love that he bothered to do that. He monogrammed the sign, go to sleep,
with
and put a drawing.
With his own bald head and sunglasses.
Yes, I love that.
He thinks he's so cute. Like, he's got a cute side to him, like, this is adorable. He's gonna love this.
Or maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's like, this is for me. That's totally me. I'm good at art.
Yeah, it could be. It could be that.
Yeah, but he's got like prison bars on his windows. Those are electrified, so that doesn't work. But again, this just serves to fire up Ryo, and we see this animation here of like an explosion.
The camera goes all the way around his body and then does this upward shot from the ground while fire is in the background. And I point that out because I believe this is the first time we've seen that animation, and it comes up a lot again later throughout this series.
When his Mokkori is at maximum, that's usually when we get this shot.
It is a really good sequence, so maybe they were like, God, it's so good, how can we not use it again?
Yeah, so now Ryo takes part in his own real-life version of Ninja Warrior or Pitfall as he tries to make his way through the hallway, and as that's happening, you hear footsteps going on, you know, the song.
Like, one part of getting out into the hallway, it turned out he's got a trap door to get to the extra bedrooms in the apartment from his bedroom.
Yeah, that's right.
And what the hell, man? That's super creepy.
What's great about that, though, is that Umibozu found the trap door and booby-trapped it like Wile E. Coyote style.
Yeah.
Because, like, Ryo tries to open the trap door and, you know, there's a plume of explosion going off just in his face. You know, straight up Looney Tunes style. I love it.
If that were me, I would think, oh, well, that trap went off. I guess now that I'm not dead, I'm gonna go ahead and go down there where the trap already went off.
Oh yeah, it's basically Indiana Jones rules. Like, if you've already set off the trap, then you're good, right?
Yeah.
And so he's trying to do all of these, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger Predator traps, like spikes in the floor, trap doors, boulders, all of these things.
In an apartment? How did he have that much prep time and that much money? And, like, how did he manage to do it that quietly and secretively?
And that quickly.
This is a big operation. This, in my mind, requires a construction team.
Yeah, it requires, like, a tactics team coming in, setting up all the tripwires, all the electronics that you need, setting up all the ropes. Like, you think about Predator, right? It's the same kind of setup. Arnold Schwarzenegger in the jungle. I only have my wits about me. It took him hours.
Yeah, he at least needs prep time.
Like, you're looking minimum, 4 hours hours, 5 hours to set that up? Minimum?
I think even more than that, because boulders, Josh, in the apartment.
Now, we never actually go into this really beyond a certain amount of story that we're given, but we're given the impression that Umibozu is actually very well off as far as his end of being a sweeper or a sniper or a gun for hire.
Yeah, so the money in order to accomplish all of this most definitely does not confuse me in any way.
Yeah, Umibozu's got that covered. That's not a problem. It's just a matter of the time it took to do this. Like, the suspension of disbelief that we give Cowdy for the hammer, we end up giving to Umibozu for setting traps.
Okay.
This episode, it's a cartoon.
Wile E. Coyote cartoon.
Well, right now it's Pepe Le Pew, and he's trying to get down the hallway.
Yeah, but did we not cancel Pepe Le Pew? I thought that was a thing we did.
Well, we'll get to that in just a second, because Ryo gets through the door where Maki's supposed to be sleeping, and he does this, like, loop on the third jump in the air to, like, pounce on her bed, and then gets whacked with the hammer because the last trap was the deadliest trap of all, Cowdy.
Cowdy is there instead of Maki. And also, by the way, you were trying for way longer than you thought you were. Open the window. Sunlight.
It's morning already. Ryo tried for about a minimum of like 4 or 5 hours minimum to try and get in this poor girl's room.
And she wasn't even there. And now it's daylight, and Ryo is so tired. He probably didn't even realize how tired he was until he saw it was morning, and then he was just like, I'm out. And he conks out and starts snoring.
Now, I do want to bring up here, like, as Cowdy opens up the blinds to show him, hey, look, it's sunrise, we get this musical sting that I'm not sure that we've heard before, but for sure we hear it right here. When I've tried to look it up on YouTube, it was only listed under Mokkori song, but you hear it a lot of the time when Ryo's doing something perverted, this song, and that to me,
it's
yeah,
this
that's
keyboard,
the one.
Yeah, this sexy-ish sounding synthesized keyboard, and then these strings come in. Yeah, it's not on an official soundtrack.
That's the weird part, because they use it so much.
How often they use it, yeah.
It's the one piece of music that I feel weirded out that they didn't use in the live-action French film, because they use so many of the show's music cues except that one.
I have to imagine it's the same reason we can't find it, is because for whatever reason the raw source doesn't exist.
And that's so weird.
That's so sad.
It is. If anybody who listens to City Hunter, or listens to this podcast and likes City Hunter music, knows where to find that, hit us up.
I wonder if that's not part of a reason why maybe a dub doesn't exist for City Hunter, because it would be really hard if they don't have the raw music and effects tracks.
Well, the effects tracks aren't that much, because most of those are outsourced from other Sunrise properties. Like, you hear a lot of Gundam sound effects here in the show, but I think specifically for that, for the music, you might be right. You might have a point there.
And again, that's just me spitballing. I'm sure there could also be a bajillion reasons why a dub does not exist for the core TV series. It really could be just about anything, and City Hunter hasn't been especially popular in North America by comparison to a lot of things, especially as a Shonen Jump title.
Which is weird, strange. Yeah.
But it's so different from so many other Shonen Jump titles. It could really be any number of things. But I say that to say, if an M&E track, a music and effects track existed, you could just pull that song out raw from the track if you just mute the dialogue and you just have the music and effects tracks playing. But I guess that doesn't exist, or if it does exist, you can't access it because somebody's holding on to it real tight.
You gotta go find somebody at Sunrise to talk to see if they've got that resource.
Yeah.
But who knows, maybe this year with that new City Hunter movie coming out, maybe they'll finally source it.
It would be nice. They didn't even put it into Shinjuku Private Eyes, did they?
I can't remember off the top of my head, because we need to actually go back and rewatch that solely just because there's a lot of music cues I catch every time I rewatch that movie.
And now we know that there's going to be yet another Aniplex animated City Hunter movie coming up. Did they say this year?
This year is what they said.
Oh my god. I know we're kind of off topic from this episode by this point, but yes, the hope is that they come back to the Mokkori song, whatever it's called.
Yeah, for our purposes, we will go ahead and refer to it as the Mokkori song.
Right.
So back in the episode.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so Ryo is taking Maki out on yet another date because she wants to spend some quality time with who she believes to be her benefactor, and because there has already been an attempt on her life, Umibozu is doubling up his efforts to keep an eye on both of them. So what that means is, no, I'm not going to hide behind trees anymore. Today, disguises. And he has the best disguises today. Like, oh my god.
I don't know why he's so bad at this, because we say they're the best, but they're really quite awful. I don't know why he's so bad at this when he was a mercenary. He can set up traps, so clearly he can be a sneaky dude, and yet here he is, literally dressed as Colonel Sanders outside of a Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Like, you see Kentucky Fried, like, they don't try to hide it, just like with cars and other name brand products in this show. He is out in front of Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's his ass out there.
So just under 2 years ago, okay, KFC Spain, or KFC España, they tweeted out, in Japanese, mind you, otaku faro wa no go aisatsu. Greetings to otaku followers. So
they tweeted out screenshots.
Yeah, KFC, mind you. American, Kentucky, the state of Kentucky Fried Chicken, who has opened business in Spain, is tweeting from their Spanish social media account.
Spain Spanish,
but they're tweeting in Japanese, and they have screenshots of this episode of City Hunter with Umibozu standing outside a KFC in Japan dressed as Colonel Sanders. What is happening?
Well, they know what their audience is. They know otaku do eat chicken. It happens. It's not just, ramen and pocky and Family Mart chicken, which is delicious.
And they say in the following tweet, what's the anime? Don't search on Google.
Like they kind of have an awareness of what City Hunter is. Now, mind you, for those of you who don't know, but if you've been watching anime for a while, you know that when it gets around to like Christmas, KFC done blown the hell up in Japan. For Christmas, it is tradition over there that you celebrate the Christmas holiday by getting you a bucket of KFC.
Yeah, big old family meal plans from KFC for Christmas specifically.
Like lines out the door.
I know we'll typically have either a turkey or a ham. I guess turkey is more traditionally Thanksgiving, although my family also did turkey on Christmas as well. But also ham, big deal for Christmas, right? KFC, man, in Japan, for whatever reason, it's fried chicken. It's fried chicken all the way.
Well, fried chicken, but specifically if you can get it, KFC.
Yeah, because fried chicken, mind you, they have karage, which is their own fried chicken, and their batter's kind of different. They're using probably panko or something on that fried chicken.
Karage is delicious.
But karage is delicious. If you had karage, you'd be like, oh, well, obviously this chicken is fried, but this batter is like way different. It tastes really friggin' good. It's incredible.
Oh my God.
Yet, KFC, for whatever reason, just exploded in, this is our country's national tradition Christmas food.
This is what we do.
We sit around a table, we pass the bucket.
Pass the bucket of chicken.
Pass the bucket of chicken. So, like, Umibozu, I'm looking at the screenshot from KFC España here. He's holding his hands out like they decorate these Colonel Sanders statues, because that's what he's doing, okay?
He's posing as one of the statues.
As a statue, because that's not a thing that we really do. We do have Colonel Sanders, obviously, is the original mascot of KFC, but we don't put statues of Colonel Sanders outside the front door.
Not the way McDonald's would do with Ronald McDonald statues out at the play place. You know how they used to have
I remember,
not wax figure, but the plastic Ronald McDonald there by the slide. Or he'd be
sitting on the bench.
Exactly, same thing.
So they have statues of Colonel Sanders standing outside the door, and he's holding his hands out sometimes he'll have a bucket, okay? He's holding a bucket. But then, throughout the seasons, they like to decorate them. They like to give him a Santa hat.
Yes.
Or put different things in his hands. So he's just holding his hands out, holding nothing right now.
But there should be a bucket of chicken there.
Yeah.
So we say all that to say this is actually a really deep cut that Umibozu has decided to do. No, I'm going to hide in plain sight as this really obvious Colonel Sanders statue that would be here right now.
And also, he's just the fucking biggest Colonel Sanders.
The widest Colonel Sanders.
And he enormous Colonel Sanders. Because if you saw footage of the original commercials of Colonel Sanders, right?
He was a little guy.
He's not that big of a guy.
Right.
He's really not. This is like if The Rock decided to dress as Colonel
If
Sanders.
Batista dressed as the Colonel, that's what it would look like.
Right. Also, Colonel Sanders in sunglasses rather than just regular glasses.
I mean, it's close enough.
It's just close enough to pass, except maybe not quite enough because he's enormous. And like here in a little bit, all these people are staring at him like, oh my god, this Colonel Sanders is freaking huge.
So the point we're trying to get across is this disguise is not good. So Rio obviously pulls him out of like, oh, that's you, Umibozu. Can you tell me anything more about the thing we were talking about last night? And Umibozu decides to tell him, oh yeah, that guy I thought I killed, he's alive. His name's Snake. He doesn't like me. He didn't like her dad. He's coming after her. Just like dropping that information like, well, that's not good news. Back the hell up, Umibozu. This guy sounds like he wouldn't have a problem killing you in front of her. So maybe you should give us some space, maybe? Yeah?
Also, I'm on a date. Go the fuck away.
And so, yeah, he tells him, yeah, it's this guy whose name was Snake. He was in the militia with Maki's dad and Umibozu. He sold them out. He's the reason there was only 2 people left, just Umibozu and Maki's father. And he thought 10 years ago that he killed him to get back at him for betraying them. Well, now he's back and he wants revenge, and that revenge is aimed at Maki, and now he knows that Maki is being watched over by Umibozu, so that's like a double revenge plan that this Snake guy has.
That's really specific.
And so Rio tells him, yeah, look, you stay the hell away, go find his ass, you take care of him, I will watch out for Maki. And he spends the rest of the episode trying to ditch Umibozu.
Because Umibozu has decided, I'm not going to do that. And he just spends the rest of the episode chasing them around town on their date, dressed as the dumbest things.
So we got it here. He dresses up as, after the Colonel Sanders thing doesn't work, he dresses up as a Russian woman.
He has not shaved his facial hair.
No, he's just got a little like shawl wrapped around his head. He's again bowing out the bench he's sitting on because he's so friggin' huge.
Yeah.
There are dogs barking at him like, you're not who you say you are, woof, woof, woof.
I am afraid of you.
That doesn't work, so Rio runs off with Maki like, oh, let's go over here. They go to the pond nearby, and Umibozu's pretending to be a duck in the pond.
Yeah, he's underwater.
With a duck on his head.
With a duck, like, tied around his chin on top of his head, and Rio knew it wasn't a real duck. I don't think anybody else caught on. I don't think Maki caught on.
Well, because he's looking at it like, hey, that duck's not moving at all. We need to get out of here. So that doesn't work. And then he dresses up like a medical elephant. I don't quite understand the...
Okay, so it's outside of a pharmacy.
Yes.
Pharmacies often, in fact...
Like that's a thing.
Yes, that's what I thought. I had to think about it like, wait a minute, have I seen that before? Because I very briefly lived in Japan and have been back several times, and I'm realizing, wait, didn't I see a bunch of elephants? That's a thing, right? Oh yeah, sure enough, elephants are like pharmacy mascots. Yeah, so that's what that is, except he's been really obvious and he like just drops in right in front of them, very obviously. He's not doing a very good job of hiding as the most enormous pharmacy mascot elephant.
And then they try running to the park, and he dresses up as a gorilla. Mind you, he's just wearing a gorilla suit, and that's still his face coming out of the gorilla suit.
And they're in a park. They're not at the zoo?
No, they're at the zoo.
Okay.
And then they run away from the zoo, because that's not gonna work. And then he's dressed up like this Buddhist, like, Raijin statue, and they have to run away from that.
You did check that it was Raijin?
It looks closer to Raijin than Fujin.
Okay, yeah, but basically this very Buddhist-looking temple god, okay? But he has not masked his upper body in any way. It's just him.
And then he shows up just wearing, like, a robe and walking a dog that's much too small for him.
And the dog is very freaked out by him. Either the dog is trying to escape him because he's terrified of him, or because it was just one still shot. You could interpret it like Umibozu's just holding this dog's leash and is dangling this dog kind of in midair because it's just way too far off the ground because Umibozu's so big and this leash is a little short looking. I don't know. That might not be, but this dog is obviously very frightened.
Yeah, so they have to run back to the park. They finally seem to ditch him for a second, and Maki doesn't know what the hell's been going on. She's just like, I get this weird feeling we're being followed. And Rio's like, no, don't worry about it.
Just
We're cool.
your imagination. It's alright.
Don't even think about it. And then as they're at the park, Umibozu shows up again. He shows up as a statue of himself. Like, from the waist down, he's like a pedestal.
So more like a bust.
Yeah, like a bust on a pedestal. And then from the waist up, it's just him flexing. And Maki sees this because he didn't do anything. He, like, put some bronzer on.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, he's still wearing his sunglasses. It's still very obviously Umibozu. But Maki sees this. And she's like, that shape looks familiar. And then she talks to Ryo. Wait, we're here at the park. That's why you wanted to rush us here, because this is where we met when I was a kid. And Ryo's like, what?
Oh no, you two met before? And Umibozu, you didn't tell me about this? You didn't think that maybe that would be information that would be useful so that I could continue this lie that you have asked me to put up for you?
And, you know, she's waxing poetic there. Maki's waxing poetic about, oh my god, I remember I was so scared, you know, me being a little kid and my dad introducing you to me, and I just remember your big broad shoulders as a kid. You were just so comforting, and now those shoulders are right here in front of me. And she kind of leans on Ryo there, and Ryo's just kind of happy, like, I got some boobies on my back, yeah. And at this point, Ryo hears another gun cock, but it's not Umibozu's.
It's somebody else from, like, up the hill
in
the park. You just kind of see this glint of, like...
Of a gun.
A gun or... the bullet being fired.
Yeah, specifically
whatever.
A revolver gets pulled. Ryo hears it, but he reacts too late, and 2 shots are fired. And Ryo cannot get in the way of these shots. The only person that can is Umibozu, and he straight up busts out of the bust, like, you know, the pedestal that he's using as his disguise, wraps himself around Maki, and takes 2 in the back.
Yeah, in both shoulder blades.
Yeah, and like, whoever was doing it runs off. Like, Ryo can't find who this guy was. He got the 2 shots off, and then he booked it.
And they're like, oh my god, you've been shot! And Umibozu just kind of squeezes his muscles really hard and spits the bullets back out of his back.
Like you think Wolverine in the old X-Men movies, or if anybody's been watching Moon Knight, the same way the bullets come out from, like, regenerative capabilities.
Right.
That's what we're saying Umibozu just did. He just squeezed out 2 shells from his back.
Pretty sure Kenshiro and Fist of the North Star can do
Yeah.
that. So,
Kenshiro's done it.
It's the same thing.
And now Umibozu has blown his own cover, and Maki's like, wait a minute, who is this guy? What's going on here? And she's obviously confused, and so Ryo has to kind of go with it and be like, oh yeah, you told me about the thing about your cup getting blown up the other day, and so I took the liberty of hiring this guy, my friend.
This is Umibozu, who she doesn't know the name Umibozu, so he's safe to say.
Yeah, she doesn't know Umibozu from Adam.
Yeah, she just knows Falcon, which is Umibozu, but she doesn't know that.
And Ryo tells her, look, this is a bodyguard I hired for you. You're kind of doing a flip here. And she's kind of looking really inquisitive, like, wait a minute, what? This is a lot to take in right now. A lot has happened in the last 5 minutes. What's going on here? And Ryo's there wondering, oh crap, did my cover get blown? And that's where the episode ends. You know, we pull out on Get Wild.
Yeah, Get Wild is still the same ending, despite the fact that we have changed openings.
Yeah, 51 glorious episodes of Get Wild. We're still working with that, and I love it.
Yep, still my favorite. It's gonna be my favorite ending. There's a couple of endings that rival it, but they're never gonna be Get Wild.
And yeah, that's gonna be the episode. We're left on that cliffhanger. We're not sure what's gonna happen to Maki now, and that will all be resolved in next week's episode when we find out more about her past, about Umibozu's personality, and whether or not the snake guy is going to succeed in getting his revenge.
It's gonna mark our first 2-parter as a podcast.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I think it's season 2 gets really 2-parter heavy.
Oh, it's hella 2-parter heavy. Season 3's somewhat, but for sure season 2 has so many 2-parters.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Thankfully, this first season, not so many. So we're just gonna have to continue this narrative the way that the show does and continue to tell about it next time.
Yeah, so we'll have more of that next week. We hope you guys tune in for that.
So please do come back next time when we cover the 28th episode of the TV series, The Legend of Umibozu, Pure-Hearted Mysterious Benefactor, Part 2.
And if you want to catch us outside this podcast, you can always find us both over on Twitter. I'm at JoshKnightTheFirst.
And I'm at MarzGurl. Thank you all so much for listening to our 27th episode of MokkoriPlay. And if you don't come back next episode, I'm gonna throw a box of kittens at Josh.
Oh, that sounds nice.